All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to begin the third session of the day, topic Network APIs, how open networks are ushering in a new era in digital communications in BFSI. I'd request all of our guests to please be seated and settle down. I'd like to invite our esteemed panelists up on stage. Can we please welcome on stage Mr. Jorn Vercamert, Chief Product Officer, Proximus Global. Joining him on stage will be Mr. Vineet Nagar, Executive Vice President, BaaS Banking as a Service, HDFC Bank. Coming on stage next is Mr. Ganesh AR, Group Chief Technology Officer, Geo Financial Services. And this session is going to be moderated by Mr. Deepak Sharma, Founder, Venture Studio. I realize there are very few people in this hall, but I'd really appreciate if you can just put your hands together for our speakers. Thank you. And now I hand over the further proceedings of this session to our moderator. Mr. Sharma, over to you.
Yeah, thank you. Let me tell you, irrespective of number of people in the room, the energy of at least the panelists is not going to come down. And I hope for those of you who are in the room, you will enjoy and take some great insights because I'm joined by three amazing panelists, and I think they bring very, very different perspective about how the network APIs are not just evolving, but they are becoming more global, more scalable, more available. And then, of course, how both BFSI and beyond BFSI, these are getting ingested to solve multiple problem statements, either on fraud risk, identity, looking at the graph networks on how the threat perception evolved, or also create business value. So I think as we get started, my first question is to Jorn. I think you are seeing this both from global lens, but as you told me, you have also spent a reasonable time in India, 15 visits. That's what you said you have. So it's not that you are new to the country, literally. So I think the first thing is, as a chief product officer, how do you see this network APIs coming around? I know you as a firm have also done a lot of work in this and you had a launch yesterday. So maybe just a quick opening remark on how do you see this unlocking new opportunities for BFSI players?
Yeah, thank you, Deepak, and namaste. Happy to be in India. I think maybe for the people who are not familiar with Proximus Global, just a quick intro. We are combining a company called BIX, which is a platform that is connecting all mobile operators in the world, together with a company called Telesign, US-based, that is a US leader in digital identity. And this combined together with Route Mobile, which is an Indian-based company, active in the CPaaS and API and developer space. So we're building that company, Proximus Global. And indeed, our vision and our strategy is that there is a bridge to make between mobile operators, the developer community, the digital lifestyle. And yes, in that sense, we did launch yesterday our Conera platform, which is the first, I would say, real life introduction of how the banking industry can take advantage of the network APIs that are available in India. We already have one big US bank, I'm afraid I cannot share the name, but already transacting over our Conera platform to increase the security, reduce the fraud, improve conversion, reduce KYC costs. And so there's many, many use cases, in my view, of where the banking industry can take advantage of combining their strength with the strength of the network assets and the data assets that mobile operators have. And so, yeah, we're really proud. We will have silent verify for 90% of Indian population, which will basically mean that any player in the industry can, through the Conera platform, see whether the user that is providing his phone number is really having an active IP session on the attached device. That can help a lot of issues in customer journey. That's one API that will be available. The second API is SIM swap. Most of you are aware that SIM swap is one of the major root causes in the banking industry for fraud use cases. So for 92%, any banking player, financial industry player can tap into the Conera platform and will be feeding back whether over the past 2 hours, over the past hours, over the next 15 hours, in the past day, whatever the timeline is relevant for the banking industry, we will give an answer whether that SIM has been swapped or not. And our vision lies in, India is a super tech savvy country, so we're super excited. We think that this is a relevant technology collaboration that can help make the industry more safer and secure. And of course, from there, we're going to expand with Telesign in the US. We already have also coverage in a lot of other countries that we will make available soon as well over that Conera platform.
No, awesome. So I think like we used to call in banks, we call bank as a service BaaS, and I think Vineet will come in there. But I think similarly, we are seeing this as a network as a service through this network API, because now you are leveraging not just the power of devices that we all did for taking many device native capabilities to build either authentication through biometric or getting various gyrometric stuff. But I think now this whole edge network piece coming in along with your location, your compute, your ability also to triangulate many of the network data to understand what are the real-time geolocations and geofencing of certain products or services. So I think this could probably, I would say this will not just unlock what we all know today. Probably it will bring many innovators. I know there aren't too many in the room today, but hopefully to think through how they can work with banks or financial institutions to unlock new opportunities. So I think Vineet, you wear business hat, and I know for you, and it's a great perspective to see. Obviously, there are many users within the bank who will benefit from different perspective. And I think before we take Ganesh's input, because Ganesh has a much wider from the tech security lens, but I think when we talk business and business value,
sure.
How do you see some of these for a bank like HDFC with huge customer base, multiple channels, creates new value or unlocks your existing value?
No, that's a great question. See, what is happening in the world is that customers are maybe visiting less to the branches. So our whole ethos is that we want to be where the customer is. So your mobile is technically becoming your touch point. Now, how many times you go to a bank? Maybe once, twice in a month. But on your app, you have travel app, you have grocery app, everything is available. So our whole ethos is that if we have decided we have to be where the customer is, it can be powered only through APIs. So for example, if an existing bank customer wants to go and do share trading on any of the broking platform, there the identity and authentication layer plays a big role, because moment you open the app, it pings our database and reverse feed goes back to the app that this is a bank customer. The journey changes. It's very seamless. You don't need to do KYC, you don't need to do anything else, and the customer gets onboarded. If we find out that he's not a bank customer, then the journey shifts to a new to bank journey. So it is helping us to embed our financial products to where the customers are going. So it is becoming, the mobile phone is becoming a new touch point for generating business. So it is a completely greenfield, and this is where the world is going. So whether you look at open banks like Revolut or a new bank, they are very, very focused on moving friction from the customer journeys and their identity and authentication layer. Omni-channel experience, the APIs, wherever customer is going, either through WhatsApp, email, SMS, we can 360-degree go behind the customer and communicate him at his preferred touch point, not where we tell them you have to come here or go there. We want to be there where the customer is, whether to cross-sell, whether to inform him, fraud alert, monitoring, so on and so forth. I think it plays a very, very important role.
I think also what I just saw when we were in the morning discussing, and I think I was very impressed with how I can use IND End Money app now and discover HDFC account. So I think we all have now perfected the art of at least building the business APIs. But I think now the question I also see is, as bank APIs are made available at multiple touch points, it's also going to open up the next set of risk and challenges. And I think this is where I want Ganesh, you to come in, because you have been a very seasoned banker, but now being a part of Geo Financial Service, even though you say you have nothing to do with core telco, but you have a much better vantage point of how the largest telco network is creating and building a lot of this stuff. So I think my question to you is, while there is a business value, but when we consume these APIs, when we integrate it across our multiple journeys, touch points, what are the few things that you would recommend or you will advise people to watch out for, largely from the fraud risk and security? Because I think that side at times gets at least priority, and I think we all want to see only the business value first. So your take on that?
Thanks, Deepak. Yeah, that is very true, and unfortunately, this is one area probably where there are no easy answers. You have to necessarily go back to time-tested methods of testing the APIs very strongly, because one of the things in my earlier hat in ICICI Bank, where I used to head security for the group, was always these APIs talking to each other, and of course that becomes kind of literally almost a testing nightmare, because with a lot of providers, as the providers are expanding, the convenience is becoming much easier. The ability to power up and start doing something which you are not able to do is much better. But where I think on both sides, both on the consuming side and on the provider side, people will have to invest more is in what is called as these test beds. Honestly speaking, if you ask me, we have also had this experience. Now that we are on the other side trying to integrate with a lot of providers, whether it is capital market intermediaries or whether it is even banking services, while the production environments are obviously really very disciplined, well taken care of, etc., etc., the testing environments are not necessarily so disciplined. And even from the point of view of sometimes even getting time to test on testing environments, getting time to use the right credentials on testing environments. And obviously, the other substitute what people always do is to do stubbing and used to do all this mock testing and all of that, which has its own limitations. So unfortunately, that is exactly what the fraudster is looking for. In fact, it is less of, let's say, a security hole, but as much of what is called as a logic hole in all these APIs. For example, can I, while tampering a parameter may probably be a security hole, but with the ability to tamper what I can get out of it, that becomes the actual logic hole. For example, can I do, we have seen issues, right? Can I do 1 rupee on this side of the transaction and get 100 rupees on the other side of the transaction, which we have seen happen. We have seen incidents happen, and we have seen people taking away money. And when they do that, it happens really, really fast, because in all these cases, with India, the convenience of very fast payments also comes back on the other side with the convenience of the fraudsters also being able to move money away. Because in my earlier avatar, the moment I get a call on something going wrong on an isolated case, before you investigate, the money would have moved to the 5th bank account. So that is the pace at which these transactions move. So I think the answer lies, to my mind, to answer to your question, is in 2 parts. One part is before you put any of these things live, the rigor of testing and how close is your testing to the actual reality, as opposed to, let's say, marking up or stubbing and all of that. And number 2, how do you actually stay on top of different triangulated monitoring that one can put in place, whether it is velocity, whether it is pattern matching. This is where things like AI can come in a big way in terms of being able to spot unusual patterns and then kind of real-time monitor and real-time kind of warn you on what could be going wrong. For example, somebody doing 5 UPI transactions historically, suddenly you are seeing in that account 50 UPI transactions in an hour, then obviously something has to be monitored and kind of alerted. And similarly, the time-tested age-old mechanisms of like multi-way recon, etc., and how fast can you do that, how real-time can you do that using technology? Because we have all seen op shops being able to do recon probably on a T+1 basis. But with technology, can you do that in an automated basis? Can you do that, let's say, number of times in a day, etc., etc.? So I think It is both on the proactive, this one of testing, and once you are up and running, and how do you kind of keep pace with what is happening in terms of monitoring. That's, I would say there is no other, unfortunately, there are no other shortcuts to this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I always keep saying that while there is innovation on one hand, we also need to see what are the safeguards that we build alongside it. I think a couple of very interesting things I picked as spending some more time is we are seeing collapsing of multiple these APIs as a part of network into one, your chat, your voice, your video, along with pay and commerce. So I think players like WhatsApp and others are trying to see that how do you not just consume these APIs, but also collapse these APIs. And I think on what Girish and Vineet said, also how do we get, say, the network behavior on various parameters to understand and profile the risk at every stage of a financial journey or a non-financial journey. So again, back looking at I think both global and India, and I think since you did speak about it, Jan, one of the things we are seeing in India, and I think we were discussing earlier, the reported and unreported fraud, financial frauds in India today is over $20 billion every year. And I think that industry is growing faster than any other industry. A lot of time the money doesn't stay here and the money moves quickly through the networks. And a lot of these networks are not within the shores of this country. So I think when we look at this opportunity and global collaboration through network APIs, how do you see this becoming a more of a phenomena where institutions can not just see what's happening through the trail, but also get to see the network which is beyond the Indian shores?
Yeah, very good question. And indeed, 15 billion is it's a lot of money. And I think if we look worldwide, we're probably talking about 80 billion of fraud happening around the world. And I think we were also talking about, physical banking in those older days, and we were investing a lot in security, and we had guards all over the place, and it was all physical, but we also had to invest a lot in security. And I think when now we become digital, and digital honestly means mobile phone or web activity, we really have an opportunity here to bring the network indeed together with the banking industry in this case, but of course on network APIs there's also more use cases and more industries that can take advantage to improve secure digital life. It is cross-border. That's why it's also important that we're building an infrastructure that can cater for cross-border interactions. And I think it's a tremendous opportunity, both for the banking industry to improve customer journey, user experience, reduce costs, and at the same time a tremendous opportunity for all mobile operators in the world to monetize actually on what their role can be in terms of securing the digital economy. That's a very big opportunity that, we hope that with our step here in India, we're making that first step, and we're really looking forward for talking about it in the future and talking about how it's going to evolve. I talked about 2 APIs, but of course after that we will have geolocation coming up, we will have KYC coming up, and there's more network APIs that are going to come up into the roadmap to further expand the tools, the toolkit available for digital banking and for securing digital economy.
No, awesome. Because I just remember in another conversation, I was talking about a company which today provides just the weather and satellite data as a service, and now the industry has evolved in consuming it to create multiple use cases, be it on underwriting or credit risk or monitoring. So I always believe that if there are a set of capabilities that is made available, I think businesses are smart enough to find what is the business opportunity that can be created around it. So
Yes, and I think the cost is an element, and I think that it's important for all of the players in the industry to yeah, create an opportunity for using the technology, widespread testing it, improving it, evolving on it, and you know, build the technology from the ground up, and making sure that everybody in the chain gets a fair share, but also that we can create decent, yeah, that the price point is allowing us to embed security in more points of the customer journey.
I think for India, that's also
yeah.
one of the key challenge, because our unit economics are not similar to what it works probably in some of the more developed markets. So while security challenges and threats are here and real, and I just told you the size and scale at which it operates, because those networks never sleep, and I think we are all, as we all have become more digital first and 24/7, we are also grappling with a lot of these new networks of frauds that are perpetrating. So again, back to the question, Vineet, to you, and we discussed again some of that into the customer experience versus the risk. Right, and the classic example I gave you of HDFC itself, I think you weigh more than some of the other peer banks on customer experience. And that's at times the network fraudsters, they enjoy that because they feel you are more pro customer experience. Now, I think that's a classic dilemma. It's not an easy answer, okay? But then when you are looking at some of these opportunities of either working with fintechs or telecom operators, you gave an example of creating new opportunities, but largely now to unlock a better experience, like we said, I mean, as a customer, I need now a higher limit to do a one-time transaction. That's a risk. It's very easy to say no, but then you know that customers do need these kind of things for either an occasional transfer, but you need a higher level of authentication and security to understand that it's indeed me and I'm not under any kind of pressure to make those transactions happen. We have been hearing things like digital arrest, and then you find people under those kind of duress and they end up moving a lot of those money only to realize. Now, as we think around, and I think this is where I always keep saying that network APIs has a power for us to triangulate multiple information on the real time to understand whether these transactions are genuine, stated, in the right frame of mind. And frame of mind, no other data can tell us. But I think some of these information does. Like somebody told me, if there is a building, and if you know that between 12 and 4 at night, you have so many of the calls and hits and activity happening in that particular, you can even use like a thermal imaging to pinpoint that there are some fraud networks operating out of that pinpointed location. So I don't know how much of that is real, but that's on my last question to you. But before that, I think to Vineet, how do you see some of these really embedding into creating the value from fraud, risk, and security through partnerships?
See, I love one of the line in Spider-Man movie. They said, with great power comes great responsibility. I think with great convenience comes even more, greater responsibility. See, the trust is of the most important thing in banking. And even if there is a little bit of, fraud and other thing, the credibility risk is very high. So what we are trying to do is that we are not chasing speed. We are balancing convenience with security and safety. I think that is the ethos with which what we are working in. So for example, if we are embedding our liability account in doing a broking trading where you can buy US stocks, now we are triangulating. We have face authentication embedded in the app itself, which ping our database to ensure that the person who is doing the transaction is actually the person who is. Along with that, we are embedding the multiple regulator guidelines are there, right? From broking of SEBI to RBI regulation in terms of doing a video KYC. So biometric authentication is there. Then after that, video KYC is there when we onboard a customer. Plus, we are working on multiple scorecards also at the time of onboarding. So basics, telco data, we get a lot of geofencing, geolocations are there. Then PIN code based analysis is there. So we have taken those variables, and at the time of onboarding, we do multiple checks. So identity authentication is there, plus our scorecards are there, and then it is supported by, a convenient framework to onboard the customers. So you need to balance the risk and convenience. Otherwise, it is not a scalable business. For a bank to be there for last 25, 30 years, trust is very, very important. And that comes with a secured system. So that's a snapshot.
No, great. And I think you're right. I think trust earlier came from where the branches were. And now since all of us hold our bank in our hand, so it's also something that's like every phone is a vault or a locker now where money can store and move out quickly. I think, Ganesh, my question to you, I'll just flip it this time also from the other lens. You run at a group level multiple assets that Geo Financial Service has. Lending, credit, now of course a lot around Geo BlackRock, which is wealth. And these are different customer segments with different kind of habits either to borrow or invest or pay. And then you are also integrating a lot of this through a super app and how do you see this from customer risk profile to app design architecture to overall the technology roadmap within the whole Geo ecosystem?
See, the first thing that we are very clear about is at the end of the day, financial services is not necessarily a primary commodity for any customer. I don't think people go out and want to do something in financial services as a primary objective. So financial services is always tertiary. I want to buy a house, so I need a loan. I want to, let's say, go on a holiday, so probably I need a nicely filled, nicely rewarding credit card. So most of the financial services needs emanate from something else which is inherently driving that. So just like what Vineet was saying, we have to be there where the customer is. And that is exactly what we are looking at, because given the breadth of offerings that we are obviously launching, and over a period of time we will be there in all of them in terms of, let's say, the ability to transact, the ability to save, the ability to borrow, the ability to protect, then how do you actually then reach the customer at the right time, at the right price point, and at the right channel? And most important thing that we are very clear about is, as we go towards this journey, at all points in time, it has to be the best thing in the interest of the customer. So because today, there is also this very big quote-unquote buyer's remorse in financial services, because we always keep speaking about it. I buy an insurance, and as soon as I have bought it, I am a little disturbed on whether I got the right deal, whether I got the right coverage, whether I will get my claim honored for what I want to claim. Because quite often you come back and then say that only that is not covered when you actually try to lodge a claim. Similarly, when I have done an investment, or when I have done, let's say, when my advisor has advised me on something, have I got the best investment in terms of whether it is based on my risk profile or whether it is based on returns, or is it something where the distributor is actually probably making the best margin out of it. So this is exactly what we would want to stand for in terms of at every point in time, it should stand the test of, has the advice and the subsequent transaction capability been done in the best interest of the customer? And when there is a conflict of interest, ideally there should never be, but when there is a conflict of interest between the customer's interest and, let's say, the commercial interest on the other side, we will always stand by the customer's interest. And obviously, time will tell. If I think we are able to prove this, and with the brand name like Geo, then there is no reason why we should not be actually be able to kind of succeed this across. And of course, married to this at the background is our ability to, let's say, leverage on a very large ecosystem, data cutting across retail, telecom, etc., and within the guardrails of data protection, etc. So that is exactly what we are looking at, which is why you will see that at any point in time, we always speak about the overall breadth and the cross-sectional offerings, as opposed to, let's say, simply kind of going by a product or a particular metric within a particular product or business. So this is what we're trying to do. Let's see how things pan up over the next number of years.
Awesome. So I think as we just hit towards the end, I have one question to all three of you. And probably if time permits, maybe, and if you have a question, you can raise your hand and maybe we can take a question from the audience, because I know you have been patient and we have 10 minutes more. Perfect. So then If any one of you have a question, maybe you can raise your hand while I ask them a question on. If you have now, to summarize, what is the biggest unlock of Open API that it will bring to BFSI, say, next couple of years? What would that be? You want to take anyone? I think you can pick. I mean, whosoever wants to take the first shot.
I think it's an ecosystem that has been created. I think a combination of fintech plus telco plus banking. The combination of the capabilities that individual partners can bring in and the ecosystem that can be created, it can drive convenience, it can drive business along with security, and it can be scalable. So I think all three play, like for example, if you take telco, the identification layer or the communication or omni-channel experience that telco can add value to any business is, the scale can be significantly higher. Banks can work along with fintechs to create a frictionless customer experience, to create, and banks, the trust and the regulatory aspect in terms of scale, providing the balance sheet and offer convenience along. I think the three combination, if we come together as an ecosystem, I think that will drive scale and we'll be where the customer is.
Ganesh?
I'll probably put it in a very simple form. 3 C's: context for the financial services provider, convenience for the customer, certainty for everyone involved, including the regulators.
Awesome. Yeah.
Of course, I follow what my colleagues say. If I talk to our mobile operators in the world, they look at network APIs as, well, McKinsey calls it a business that will build up to many billions in the next years. We can all look at those studies. Probably important in there is that for sure, when we talk to the mobile operators in the world and the fintech industry, the match is pretty clear. There is other use cases as well in network API, offering quality on demand, for example, understanding device statuses. We can evolve towards a developer platform also for think about eSIM components and how can they play a role in the ecosystem. Think about how we provision numbers, because numbers are a very centric, very centric aspect in the security of today. So I think the mobile industry, if I may talk from their perspective, they are really saying, okay, we go there. I think it's super important for the banks and the financial industry that there is an aggregation layer and that embedding those technologies is not, I need to make an agreement with this MNO, another agreement with that MNO, that there is an aggregation layer that takes care of those integrations with MNOs, those commercials, regulation, consent, what you have. But it is pretty clear for the whole mobile industry that the match between open network APIs and the financial industry is the biggest immediate use case. Yeah.
So if I have to just take a shot and say, I probably see we will gradually move towards Uberization of banking. Uber got created because network APIs were available and you could figure out where the demand and supplies were generated. Today, I think we are moving in an era where we have already seen branches are less important than what it were earlier because the devices have become powerful. But as we start seeing the continuous demand of various financial products over certain geolocation, your ability to provide them. For example, when I talk to folks which are looking at the network planning of either where to make their gold loans or the gold vaults available, or demand of certain financial products which are more pinpointed to certain geolocations. A lot of things, or not earlier now, but say the cash requirements in certain geolocation or certain events where you see a large movement of people due to certain events happening. So I think a lot of information as it becomes available, I do see that will become in some way Uberization of how financial service will become more accessible to the place and distribution model. That's more cost effective. But any questions from the audience before otherwise it gives me liberty to ask them one more question. So yeah, please. I just wanted to give chance to the audience once.
Hello, sir. If we are talking about open networks, are you talking about open sourced networks or is it a white label networks or how it works?
Do you want to take a shot at that?
When we talk about open networks, the idea is that MNOs are exposing their data assets over APIs that you can embed into applications and software. So we get down to the core assets of what MNOs may have, and that may be super relevant for digital economy. Those products exist today in a very fragmented way and not super scaled at all. But it is our ambition to, which we have realized now here in India with 92% coverage on those first APIs. It is Proximus' global ambition to aggregate globally all mobile operators in the world and be able to expose a global proposition as well to fintech industries, but also e-commerce industries and other industries in the world. But so yeah, open network, I mean, there is standardization going on within the framework of the GSMA, where mobile operators together are figuring out, okay, how can we collaborate on this space and open up. Basically, it's data that they sit on, and on the other hand, orchestration within the network, so that you can plug and play and deploy capacity or slicing within the network, for example, for bandwidth on demand. So there's various use cases, and all of that is clubbed in what the industry calls open API gateways.
Yeah, just to add, to answer your question, under the whole GSMA open gateway, like Jan rightly said, on the Linux Foundation, which is again open source, they've standardized certain APIs under what is called CAMARA, C-A-M-A-R-A, and the whole idea there is that certain things like your number verification or your SIM swap, device location, quality of demand, etc. So there are a set of about 60 odd APIs which are getting standardized across different telco networks. And there are network initiatives like Ericsson has set up a JV with 12 different telcos. So I think this is becoming more like a network of operator with common standards. Just like in India, you have account aggregator network where every bank has certain common standards through which they will expose certain information. Similarly, I think the telcos are coming together and building this service so that there is a standardization of what to expect across markets as you are consuming and building products. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you, sir. Deepak as well
Great.
as John. Then I have one
Sorry,
more question.
so can we just take it offline? I just want to give somebody else a chance.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
If there's anyone else who has a question. We just have 2 more minutes before we close. So any other question in the room? No, great. There is no. Okay, perfect. So I think we are just giving you 2 minutes back. Thank you. It's great having you guys here, and
Thank you.
Can I please request my panel to come in front of the stage for a group photo? Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause, please. Thank you to our incredible panel for sharing your invaluable insights with us. We truly appreciate your presence here at the Global Fintech Fest 2025.